right, everyone wake up.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Littleton Board of Health meeting of September 8th, 2015. Do we have any board member reports?
We do. The MRC CERT kickoff event will be at Littleton PD Community Room September 24th at 7 p.m.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
John?
None for me.
Okay, Kelly was kind enough to put an email in from Keith Bergman, the town administrator. There's an MS4 permit, which has to do with the Clean Water Act permits that the town has to submit to EPA. And the deadline for that is coming up, I believe, so there'll be a joint meeting of several of the boards, the Selectmen, Board of Health, Conservation Commission, and that was originally scheduled for the 14th. It's now scheduled for the 21st. I'll be going to that, but anybody who wants to is welcome to go.
That's the 14th, correct?
No, it's the 21st. It was originally the 14th. They've rescheduled for the 21st. Shelley put an email in your packet.
Okay.
21st of September.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I believe the bulk of this is, it's a complicated permit. I deal with it in my day life, my day job. And, but I think the bulk of it's going to be a presentation by a DEP staffer, basically explaining what it is. But the town has to do with all our discharge to stormwater and that sort of thing. There are permits associated with that. And I think Keith, rightly so, wanted to make sure all the town boards were on board, so to speak, and were of the same mind and didn't have any issues.
Okay,
So-
I don't think we got copies
Yeah,
of
it wasn't in
that,
the
but
packet.
that's okay.
Yeah, I have to post an agenda for it to be a joint meeting, so when I post it, I'll send it out to you.
Okay,
I
great.
posted one today for the 14th, and then they changed it, so
Yeah,
I
they-
figured I'd just wait until that 21st was confirmed.
Give it a couple more
but-
days and see if they.
Yeah, so we don't have
Right
a
now,
time.
it's the
or-
21st.
It's generally 6:30 is when they start.
Okay, and then the
Selectmen's meeting room,
Selectmen room? Yep, okay.
Can I do one more pitch?
Sure.
The community fair, the country fair, on the 12th, Saturday, there will be a booth for MRC and CERT. Encourage all residents to stop by and see what the MRC and CERT are doing.
Okay. John, anything?
None for me.
Okay. Minutes, we don't have any. Correspondence, we do have an email from Cindy Ewing, Vice Chair of the Board of Health. I've noticed an abundance of poison ivy along the sides of our highways in Littleton. Quite often, walkers and runners have to jump into the poison ivy to get out of the way of traffic. Perhaps the Board of Health and Highway Department could come up with a plan to curb the growth of the poison ivy. Thank you for looking into this matter. Gino reported something from the Real Town meeting, which is held in Little Peach every morning, when these guys drink coffee. Somebody there had complained to Gino last week as well. I do know something about this. So the place they were complaining about to Gino is a state road. This is less specific. I'm sure it's a mixture of state and town roads. If they're going to spray herbicides to control this, there's a whole state process they have to go through. In the vegetation management plan, and there's notice to the public and it really is about the only way, short of goats, which are expensive and don't usually work well in highway situations for vegetation control, where they have to get this plan and get it approved and go to public meetings. So I will talk to who's the highway guy? I always blank on it. Jim. So I'll shoot Jim an email or try to meet with him and see if we want to pursue that. And at the same time, I think we can reach out to the Mass Highways Regional Director and ask him to add this to his next year's plan in Littleton, because we have several of them. We've got them for the railroad, we've got them for the state roads, we've got them for the power lines. I will say, this will immediately be followed by people who are concerned about the herbicides along the state roads, so. But we'll see what we have to do on that one, and at least let Jim be aware of it, so. Permits, any permits to sign?
Just the 3 for the hearings tonight.
Any
so.
minutes? We don't have any minutes.
All right, so that was quick. So we've got to wait 5 minutes for 533 Newtown Road, so any other issues that are going on?
Any minutes? We don't
No.
have any minutes, right? Okay.
And what about, it says update on 370 Harwood. Is that just a standing agenda item, or is there actual updates?
I think we can put that one off. There's no real update. We haven't had any more complaints since then.
Yeah, I haven't seen an email.
You know, the only thing I asked Shelley to do for the 2 complaints we've had, I said, can you check with Mr. Halloran, because he's supposed to be keeping track of his activities during those periods of time. You know, the last time you and I went out, I know that one of the neighbors was complaining about work, and I think the work he was doing had more to do with his wood cutting operation than the compost operation, because I was there, I talked to him. And the only thing, he brings in yard waste, not grass clippings, but yard waste. So the summer is not when it comes in, so he's kind of at the end of the compost cycle. So I imagine starting in October, late September, he's going to start bringing in leaves and things that we all rake up, and as that stuff progresses and starts breaking down, if there are going to be issues, I think we'll be hearing about it in October, November, December. So it's not surprising that we haven't had a lot of complaints, but the ones we had, I would like to check with Mr. Halloran to make sure he's sort of keeping an accurate log of the activities, because that was a good portion of what we were trying to do, to see if there's anything in particular he's doing, and if we could maybe augment that, so.
Right. And I did send that email out that you wanted,
Good, yeah.
back out to them.
Yeah, and I had sent an email out, we had discussed it to all the neighbors, basically saying, look, we haven't heard from you, we don't want to, we hope this means there aren't any problems, we don't want to take that for granted, and essentially asking them to report it independently of their neighbors.
Yeah,
And
good.
not to work together either, but to view every incident as an independent report, because that's largely what we're trying to do here, is get a good idea of what the scope and magnitude of the issue is, and the only way we can do that is we hear from everybody, so.
Yep. Good.
What else is happening? So we wait till, we list it for 7:15 and we wait because there's a neighbor, we don't want them to show up late after the discussion and that sort of thing. So sometimes it seems silly that we sit here and wait, but that's the intention anyway. No Triple E yet?
Nope.
That I've seen?
No, I haven't even
AAA.
seen any more West Nile. Because they usually send me the update every week.
Staying warm later, though, that's not a good sign, though.
Yeah.
It always gets hot like this when the kids go back to school.
What's that?
I always feel bad for the
I know,
kids because it
especially
always
today.
has this hot week when they go back to school.
My daughter said the bus was so hot
Oh.
today, just roasting.
Yeah, the
No,
air
I-
was really gross today. I went to Market Basket and it started to rain just the littlest bit. And I'm like, just rain.
We always go the week before, we're on vacation the week before Labor Day. And this year, because they're thinking late, they started it. So the week we went, it wasn't that great. Of course, Labor Day week was beautiful. So it was a nice week.
Did you come in the main door? Was it open?
It was.
Okay.
I came in early and it wasn't, and then somebody unlocked it.
Yeah, Civil Solutions is usually on time and everything.
I know I was.
Well, Bill's not here, that's probably part of it as well. Bill's not.
Well, like Roland works late on Thursday nights, but they always, the people that leave at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, leave and lock the door. So he's like, nobody ever comes in. And I said, I think it's because the door's always locked.
Bill on vacation?
No, something must have come up because he sent an email like mid-afternoon that he wasn't going to be able to
Okay.
make it.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
The man of the hour.
I guess so.
Whole agenda tonight.
I think I'm the only man of the hour.
There's some life breathed into this building here, yes.
Makes it easier for us.
We've got the plans on the screen now, that's impressive.
Oh, that's cool.
Everyone can be looking at that besides.
All right, we're 40 seconds early, but I'm going to call it. Okay, so let's call to order the hearing on 553 Newtown Road. Anybody, this is a small hearing, so if you're a neighbor or interested in this, come have a seat. It's informal. We'd rather make sure everybody knows what's going on and so, what's going on?
So basically, what we have before you tonight is proposed upgrade for the existing four-bedroom house. It's Joe and Brenda Miniors at 553 Newtown Road.
That's it?
Yep. So right now, he's got a 1,000-gallon tank under the driveway here, and then a leach field right in front of the house here. It's actually very deep in the ground. Joe was looking at replacing his tank. It keeps settling around the tank, so you have Title V inspection done. You don't want to just do part of it, and found that the system was not functioning either. So basically, what we're proposing is to put a new system over here in the side yard. This old system here had a interceptor drain to artificially try to lower the water table around it, which was kind of common in the late 70s, early 80s. So basically, they'd dig a U-shaped trench all around where they wanted to put the system, backfill it with stone and pipe, and try to lower the water table, and then they went back and did testing the following season to show that the water table on the inside had been lowered relative to the outside of the trench. So we actually hit that part of that drain when we were doing the soils testing. So we actually did 3 test holes over here on the side. Test hole 1 was actually all original. We had a layer of topsoil to 10 inches, subsoil to 2 feet, and then it changed to a sandy loam down to a depth of 11 feet. But the seasonal high water table was at 42 inches, which explains why they put the drain there in the initial system. So then we did a second test hole here, and that one was actually all fill. It actually had went down 9 feet. It's kind of a mixed bag of stumps, debris, probably from when they did the drain, is my guess. And then this third test hole, we actually just clipped the edge of the drain. So it had 24 inches of fill with the top and subsoil to 3.5 feet, and then changed to consistent material that we saw in test hole 1 to a depth of 9 feet. We had a seasonal high water table there of 60 inches, which kind of makes sense since they had added 2 feet of fill on the top of it. And we also ran a perk test. The perk we ran went 9 minutes an inch, but there's a record perk of 16 minutes an inch, and that's what we used for our design. So this property is almost at the intersection of Newtown Road and Tehadawon. It's got a stone wall that runs across the front. He's got some more recent nice walls up here in the front, which we obviously want to avoid because they're fairly new and nice looking. The water line comes in off of Newtown Road up into the corner house here. So what we're proposing to do is to redo the plumbing. Right now, it actually comes out under the floor and come out this back corner to a new 1,500-gallon actually, we're going to oversize the tank, a 2,000-gallon 2-compartment tank, just a little bit of added protection. And that's going to feed a Presby system. It's going to be 42 feet long and 13 feet wide. And what that system allows us to do is to install a sloping bed, which slopes with the lay of the land, and reduce a lot of the fill that would be required with a conventional system. So with that being said, it does have some fill across the front just because it does have the water table, but if you tried to put a conventional system in this yard because of the slope, it would most likely have a retaining wall across the front. So this allows us to do it with just fill. Actually, it's not even a polyliner. So it's going to be vented. It's got the differential venting, so it's going to have a low vent here off the distribution box. And because it does slope uphill, the high vent ends up here, but it's not going to be one of those candy canes that's sticking 13 feet up in the air. Works with the slope of land, so it's only sticking up about probably 4 feet.
So you need the variance to the lot line because you can't build it over the existing system, or you can't push it more to the center because...
Actually, the variance we're asking for is for the fill within 10 feet of a lot line.
Yeah.
And we're asking that partially to stay off the existing water line.
Okay.
And I think even if we brought it over here in the front, we'd still have quite a bit of fill in front of it to meet the grading requirements. By putting it over here, there's almost, I wouldn't call it a natural depression, but this is the flattest part of the yard. So it works the best there.
Okay.
I'm trying to avoid crossing the water line also. So we are asking for a variance from Littleton Board of Health Regulation 27 to allow fill within 10 feet of our property line, and then approval of the use of the 2-foot reduction in the groundwater offset with use of the Presby.
Jim Garfey's weighed in on this. He basically says he doesn't have a problem with it. But believes the water will be kept on site and Suntown water, so he's fairly comfortable with it. Are there any questions?
That's my questions.
Discussion? Do we have a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I need to see the plan, though.
Sure.
Are you folks neighbors on this property? Do you have any questions, or you are? Do you have any? I'm sorry. Before we move on, did you have any questions or concerns?
No.
No, you're comfortable with this. Okay.
Okay, great. I'd like to make a motion to accept the plan dated 8/17/15 for 553 Newtown Road, Littleton, Massachusetts, with variances approval requested from the Littleton Board of Health to allow reduction in the requisite groundwater offset from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of the Presby, and a variance from the Littleton Board of Health 27 to allow fill to meet the minimum breakout requirement gradient within 10 feet of a property line.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Brad, if you want to sign that,
Sure.
you give that to him.
Thank
go, Kurt.
So our next hearing's at 7:30. That has to do with 290 Goldsmith, so. We're just too efficient.
Something difficult.
Fast.
Some meetings, they
So,
have
I
all sorts of
I didn't want to
stuff they
interrupt
need to talk about.
the engineer when the engineer was going through, but you know the reason why they couldn't use the deep hole test that was solid fill, right?
Yeah.
Because
yes.
they just can't use
Yeah,
those.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
That one I caught, yeah, thanks.
Basically, if they encounter that, they'll dig it out to take the original material and bring in Title V sand to replace that material.
Okay.
Right, Board of Health. Okay, this is a different forum.
Yeah.
Do we have new forms?
No, the printer broke, so this is their old printer.
Oh, this is typed.
The Rollick.
When I used to have a three-person board. And then the other thing I was going to say was,
All right.
I can't remember.
Which building on Newtown
All
is it?
set.
Just trying to
This
place
one?
it, yeah.
It's 553, basically the Hattie one cuts off on the left.
Okay,
Okay.
There's just something about the
before the
design.
okay.
Just little
Yep, we're all
things
set.
that are just
Okay,
good to
yep,
remember
bye-bye.
when you're looking at a plan and stuff, that I remember Ted Ducette teaching me a lot of things. I sat next to him. Yeah, first year on the board. He was really good. He was very patient.
So that's, it. That all seemed very straightforward. That one, that was one of the least, I guess, confusing or
Yeah.
even changes, or variances requested, so that was pretty straightforward for me. So that one I was able to follow.
And we've seen a lot of presbys too, so you
Yes.
know that presbys can request the 4 to 2 foot
Yeah.
offset.
They work very well in certain situations, particularly when you have a high water table and sloping ground.
Till your pump screws up.
Yeah. Sometime if you have the chance to go
What's
out
that?
and see one of these systems put in. See one of the system inspections, it's good.
I just bought the house. Luckily,
We
the
understand
previous
the
owner
Presby
was good enough
slopes down the
to
hill.
take it
That's one
on,
of the
but-
values of it.
Yeah.
Because you can.
So
it
essentially
doesn't
they had
to
the
be
tank.
flat.
It doesn't have to be
Pipe and stone has to be.
At least we think the problem was
flat.
it was
For
leaking,
Presby,
so when all
you
the
can
snow
go in
melted, the
series.
tank would
Right.
pump.
If it
fill
needs
up.
to.
Okay.
Pump it out, and then the pump would keep running, so the pump burned out, they replaced that, then they'd come and dig up the tank and patch that, so.
It was
So far it's been
interesting
okay.
that-
But once in a while, I have
understand
to, I hear the
why
pump going
instead
when
of
it shouldn't be
just
going, I
point
flip
out
it
the old
off.
system,
So-
please.
Yeah, you
Because of
can.
where he was and
That's not
probably
good.
cost
Yeah, no, it's not
associated
good, so I've got to figure out what to do about that.
Yeah, you have to use soil that's been undisturbed.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole deep hole test and the perk and everything determines.
Yep.
Because that's when the biology can work.
Yep. Shelley's gonna tell us a story. How are your kids doing in college?
They're doing great.
They're all off in college.
Yeah, well, 2 are in, 1 is out, 1 has got a job teaching. North.
When your daughter graduated, right?
So she's in the working world now.
Wow.
The other 2 are in college, busy. Civil engineer.
Yeah, good.
What is your son gonna study?
Civil engineering.
Oh, your other daughter? Is she into
She's-
education too?
No, she's architecture and occupational safety.
Both? Architecture?
Yeah, double major.
Wow.
My brother's an architect, there's not much work.
No. Well, that's,
He said it's basically all computerized, so they cut the workforce by
Right.
like 80%. so.
And
Oh, wow.
safety was her minor, and she just had more interest in that. And so her advisor said, you might as well just finish your major. You only have 2 more classes in architecture, so you might as well just get both. So she did that.
No, he said what used to take like a team of 10 people is now 1 person with CAD.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I know, you think of like back in the old days with hand drafting, you know, like a subdivision, and then
Yeah.
one road change, and you had to redraw all the
whole
plans.
thing.
Now it's like, click, done.
Then with the housing market, my brother-in-law's an architect, owns his own firm out in the West Coast. With the housing market crash, just about sent him under, let everybody go. And they haven't quite recovered yet. I mean, he's still in business, but nothing's recovered to the way it was before.
most of my brother's work is
2008.
international. He lost his shirt in 2008.
Yeah.
He had this big project in Dubai that they just never paid him, so.
Ouch. Yep, that's what happened to my family too. So you have to reinvent yourself. What would you be if you weren't an architect?
Well, he retired, so. that's-
Oh.
I'd be a professional golfer.
There you go.
I'd be just as good as that as an architect, so just be lousy.
Yeah,
So what's the scoop on the Cooper land, as long as we're sitting here?
I don't know.
I know nothing until building permits come in.
You guys have staff meetings and stuff, right?
Well, I don't go to those.
No, you get out of those, good for you.
No.
You guys want to commit yourself?
I have to stay in the office, everybody else is over here.
So is the town still in a position of right of
Yes.
first refusal,
Yeah.
right? So, but they haven't crossed that border yet? They
What's
haven't?
that?
I thought they rescinded that.
Well, right of first refusal, you get a certain amount of time with when the offer comes in, and there's so many contingencies within the purchase and sales that it wasn't a bona fide offer. So right now, it's basically informal discussions between the developer and the town, so.
There's so many projects up and coming, it's like you can't keep up with them.
Yeah. Yeah, the Sanderson property, boy, what's that, like 40 houses, 38 houses or something? It's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's starting to come through, the permits for that, came through last meeting. So that's gonna be keeping everybody busy.
I don't know if they're selling that as a whole or selling those individually.
I think they're individually. I think they're, I drive by, I see the for sale signs
Yeah,
and,
got some houses already pretty well established there.
yep, so.
It's just sad if they develop that field, that's a nice area.
Where's that?
Sanderson's, by the Harvard line,
Okay.
by the depot.
Oh, the other thing I was gonna tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
by
when he
Mary
was
Ellen.
saying there was a
Whatever
perk
Mary
rate that
Ellen's
was
gonna be now, so.
16 minutes per inch.
Yeah, that's
Then there was
going
another
on.
one that was whatever,
Yeah.
8 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
By definition,
They
by
picked the
Title
water
V, he
bill
has to
here.
take the slowest
They
perk
did.
and design the
It's a water
system
bill
by
that-
the slowest perk.
And that makes sense. I sort of
Yeah.
picked up on that or assumed that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that you have to do that.
Yeah.
Perk testing's not a real science. It's-
Nope, it's just watching it go. I've had a failed septic system in my life.
Okay.
A long time ago in a different state, but
Okay, I think we can move forward, I'm assuming that clock's a couple minutes slow. So, I'd like to open the 7:30 PM meeting for the hearing for 290 Goldsmith Street. Neighbors and proponents, so you can all come up, it's a small meeting. Make sure you understand what's going on. And maybe you could move your person.
That's okay,
Okay.
I'll stay with you.
So you know the drill, but just for the sake of these folks, he'll explain what he's doing. You guys, we jump in, ask any questions, raise any concerns you might have, so.
Here's another plan.
Again, I'm Kirk Patrick with Civil Solutions. I'm here with Ann Dempsey for her property at 290 Goldsmith Street. And basically, we have before you replacement design, existing 4-bedroom dwelling. She had a Title V inspection, it failed. The property's being sold. So the lot's comprised of 0.29 acres. It's located on Goldsmith Street. It's almost down to the Shaker Lane School. What's the, is it across the street? Is it Roxbury?
I'm not sure.
It's right now, little stretch right there.
What was the question?
I'm trying to remember what it,
Long Lake Drive is across.
Is
Okay.
it Long Lake Drive? Jeez, I can't believe I don't.
So basically, we have the house.
I just know I
the
drive
existing
that way.
driveway. The water line comes in the front. Right now, it's got a small tank off the back of the house here, and a leaching area in this general area here. So we did 3 test holes. Started off behind the old leach field here, went off to the side here, and then did one closer to the house, just to see what a good cross-section, see if there was, because it actually goes up slightly to the house, see if there was more fill as you went that way, and there actually was. Test holes 1 and 2 both had top and subsoil to roughly 2.5 feet, and then it changed to a loamy sand, and then the one closer to the house had 2 feet of fill on top. The old topsoil had been removed, and then it had a layer of loamy sand, and then a slightly different loamy sand below that. But we had a water table pretty consistently between 3 feet and 42 inches. And then we ran perk test A, which was 15 minutes an inch. So basically, we're proposing to come out, where it comes out now, to a new 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank. It's going to flow to a 1,000-gallon pump chamber and pump the liquid up to the Presby system. It's going to be 17 feet wide and 32 feet long. And basically, the use of the Presby here allows us to keep the overall grade of the yard lower than the top of the foundation. So we're calling basically the top of the foundation in the back here 100. By using the Presby, the 2-foot groundwater offset allows the finished grade over the system to be elevation 99. If we didn't want the conventional system, it's 2 feet higher. So with that being said, it still has a little bit of breakup grading because the yard does slope down away from the house. So there's a little fill in this back corner and across the back. So we also need a variance for fill within 10 feet of a property line under Littleton's regulation 27. Same 2 variances as previous.
I have a question, if it's possible.
Absolutely.
On the plan, you have the system you propose superimposed over the approximate location of the existing soil absorption system. How are you able to do that? Are you going to build up,
What they'll do, they'll dig into the old system
remove it?
and remove it. They'll pump out the contents, so they'll actually make a hole in it, all the water flow into that one spot, all the effluent.
Okay.
They'll pump that out, let it dry out, and then they'll dig it out until they get the uncontaminated material.
So you're going to go down below?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Generally,
So the old tank will be removed?
actually, the old tank will be pumped in place, crushed, and backfilled with
Okay.
clean sand. That's outside the area of the new leaching system. Generally, the contamination below the bottom of the old system doesn't travel more than a couple feet.
Sure.
So it's a good, should be a heavy black layer, and then it gets less gray as you go deeper, and they hit a point where you're back to fairly clean sand.
Great, thank you.
So you're looking at 2 variances here?
Actually, yep. So the use of the Presby with the 2-foot groundwater offset to reduce the overall height of the system, and then fill within 10 feet of the property line under Littleton's regulation 27.
You folks are butters or neighbors, I assume? So did you have any questions or concerns you wanted to raise, or?
No, I think the Presby system looks like an excellent choice in that case. It keeps it a low profile, doesn't, so it's unobtrusive in the area. It's good. The only concern I had, looking at the tall stack going against the house, and the low stack, I assume, is off on the right corner of the system,
A
the
low
field.
vent, low vent and a high vent.
My only worry is odor.
Yeah, you really shouldn't get any more odor out of here than you would get out of the vent stack coming out of the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
It actually, the way the Presby's designed, it's got to require the 10-foot differential venting. So it's supposed to actually draw air in from the low vent, or at least out of the high vent. So by putting it next to the house and extending it above the roof line, it really acts very
I
similar to
assume
the
it's more than
vent
10
of the
feet,
house.
though, if it's going against the house.
You have to have a minimum of 10 feet.
Well, I think you have to be 3 feet above the roof line, right?
For this actually, I don't think it falls into the building.
No, that's for
No, I don't
the
think
plumbing
so.
system versus this is separate from the building code.
But we do have a note to extend it above, 2 feet above the roof line.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yes.
Or? Okay.
No, I think the Presby system is, like I said, an excellent choice for this area.
Keeps the profile low, so you don't have to build it up as well, which is to your advantage, I think. So, ma'am, are you here for this particular hearing or a different one? Okay, so you folks are comfortable with this, to answer questions?
Yeah, I think that just the general profile of the land and the variance area, it looks good. I mean, it's well placed.
Jim, I'm a little bit confused by Jim's comments. He does say he supports this. He said, "I don't have a problem with the request. The area is served by town water, and the reduction in the groundwater offset will prevent fill from being placed within 10 feet of the lot line." But you still need to fill within 10 feet of the lot line, correct?
Yes.
So Jim's a little bit, seems to misunderstood something, but I'm fairly comfortable with what I've heard. I don't know how you folks feel.
I think that actually might be the next one.
Oh, am I in the wrong one?
This is 290.
Oh, yeah, you went out of
Sorry,
order.
I went out of order.
That's okay.
Okay, that would explain it. Okay, so, design leaves a small area on the site for surface runoff, and the area is served by town water. This appears to be the best feasible option for the site. That was Jim's comments. Okay, that makes more sense, because Jim usually doesn't make a mistake. Any further questions?
Nope, I'm good.
None for me. You had actually clarified the one question I had about removal of the existing leach field, but, okay.
A motion?
Motion?
Mike, all right. I'd like to, Motion to approve variances requested for 290 Gold Street in Littleton. The variances are, let's see, reduction in the groundwater offset from 4 foot to 2 foot with the use of the Presby wastewater treatment system. And variance requested for, on Regulation 27, to allow fill to within 10 feet of the property line. Oh, but the plan's dated 8/17/15.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. There you go.
See, those are Google Maps, no old maps anymore.
So how long did you live there without knowing that the street across the street was named?
Oh, I am telling you, I am terrible with those names, but I've been living there since 1983.
Well, I have to admit,
And
I never
grew up
knew,
in town.
I never knew half the names of the streets in town until I got on this board and had to.
Yes, right.
That's what that street's called.
Well, there's like 3 or 4 streets between our street and then, I think, Lawrence, which is what I take to 119. And I know the names of the streets, but I always get the order mixed up. So I'll be describing to my wife, no, we go down whatever, and she'll go, well, no, then it means you have to, she knows the order, I always get those screwed up. I know the streets
Well, I always get
exist.
screwed up because they get these subdivisions and they name them all after trees or animals or something, and that just makes it that much harder. So I feel for you.
Now, the next one I did at 7:40, because I
All
knew
right,
you
good.
guys.
So
were
we're only
gonna be
3 minutes
so-
past this time. I could have dragged it on, so we
It's really
would
Kirk
have these pauses. but-
Patrick. It's Civil Solutions is fast.
You're all
Yeah,
set
I
then.
should.
Neat and clean.
Oh, you need this, don't you? We do need to sign it quick.
Okay.
Oh, wait, you need this or just
We
she?
do, we need signatures as quickly as possible.
Oh, you're gonna get them right
You,
now?
That's fabulous.
If you have checks, you can take the permit tonight.
Can you write a check to her if we get the permit tonight so that it can start tomorrow? Absolutely. We actually have a lovely kindergarten school to borrow your pen.
So there's 2 checks,
Children,
and one of them is
Great spot.
your Shelby
Ah.
During use documents, and you can't pass papers until
That's your
the
permit.
system is installed.
Say the closing attorney? Are you the closing attorney? No? Real estate.
There's 3 fees, there's a
I'm
soil
sure
test and a
Howard
plan
High.
review.
Oh, hi, Cheryl. So as long as you're here, I'll just give you a heads up, and we're going to try to reach out to the Realtors. We've had in the past some discussion about when people come in and they want to renovate a basement, and there's been some question about when they can do that and when they can't, and the bedroom size. So, and we've generally taken on a case-by-case basis, and at some point in the future, we're going to be having a policy discussion on how we want to do that, because I think we've identified at the board a need to be consistent in our approach. So we'll make sure the Realtors, knowing you folks have an interest in this, get an invite to that meeting, so.
Would you also make sure ZBA does, because ZBA gets hit with these questions, having been told you've approved things. So it'd be nice if ZBA was, I'm on ZBA, so it'd be nice if ZBA was in the know,
Okay,
as well as the real estate brokers.
okay. We'll pass that on, and I think most of you guys are real estate agents anyhow.
No, you know, I'm the only real estate agent on the board.
Oh, no, we have the lawyers, that's right. Lawyers and real estate agents.
Lawyers and architects.
Okay.
Builders,
Builders.
project managers, you guys have a good diverse board, it's like, you got a little bit of everything.
And we have a lot of opinions, too.
Opinions are good.
Sometimes we get the controversial, you guys get controversial stuff.
We try to avoid that.
Oh, we never get controversial stuff. No, that's not us. Not the Board of Health.
The 40Bs that give us headaches.
Yeah. Are you as entertaining as the planning board?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, we are far more polite.
Oh.
I shouldn't like face it that way.
I think I don't think there's any secret.
Yes, thank you so much. We're milk fridge. I think you're up next in just about 30 seconds.
Actually, I think we're good to go. So, with that said, I'd like to open the hearing for 305 Goldsmith Street. That's why I got confused, it's the same street. Okay.
It's almost across the street.
So, you're welcome.
All right.
What?
Go ahead, Kurt.
Again, I'm Kirk Patrick with Civil Solutions. This is Jean Bracken, and she owns 305 Goldsmith Street. This property is also being sold and failed Title V inspection. Right now, it's got a tank out behind the deck and the porch, and a leaching area that extends almost straight off the back of the house. And it's got a separate drywall for the laundry system. So we did 3 test holes in this property. We started off just up in the back here. It's kind of a high point that's already been built up. I don't know if you know this house. It's at the corner of Goldsmith and Roxbury. It's a little brick house.
It's a brick building, yeah.
Sits up-
That's a
sits up
beautiful
really
house.
high.
Yeah.
So the backyard's actually already been filled in when they did the original house and system, which works to our advantage. So we started in the back here. We had 3 feet of fill. They already filled right over the old top on the subsoil. That down to 56 inches, and then it changed to a sandy loam down to 9 feet. And then we did one a little bit farther back, and that still had 5 feet of fill, the old subsoil, and then consistent sandy loam. It's consistent with the first test hole. I figured we'd try one off to the side here just to see if it was any different. It was a little bit less fill. It was 3.5 feet of fill, old subsoil, and then the consistent sandy loam. So because there's already all this fill in place, the water table here, the estimated seasonal water table on test hole 1 was at 48 inches, test hole 2 was at 60 inches, and then because there was a little less fill here, the water table actually was still at 58 inches. So basically, we're proposing to do a little plumbing change, so everything comes out. The laundry system will be tied in the basement, into the building sewer. So it'll come out roughly where it does now, to a new 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank, flow to a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and pump up to another Presby system, 19.5 feet wide by 32 feet long. In this situation, because there was so much fill on top, actually we're not able to run the perk. The soil out there was still fairly wet, believe it or not, even though it's been so dry. That the sandy loam just holds the moisture that much more. So we took a soil sample, sent it to the lab for analysis, and it came back actually as a sandy loam. So that, when it comes back as a sandy loam, it's a class 2 soil. So it gets designed based on the worst perk rate available in that class, which is 30 minutes an inch. So it's designed based on an effective rate of 30 minutes an inch. So with the Presby system, we're asking for 2 variances. We're asking to reduce the groundwater offset from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of the Presby. And we're asking for local upgrade approval for the use of the sieve analysis where we couldn't run a perk test on site. The Presby here with the 2-foot offset really minimizes the amount of fill required. Basically, when they build the system, they're going to be into some of the old leaching areas. They'll take that out, but they're also going to have to excavate basically down to 5.5 feet to take out the fill that's already in place and replace it with Title V sand.
Any questions?
No,
Ma'am?
I don't
No?
have any
Nope,
questions.
that's very straightforward.
Discussion? We have a motion?
I'm good.
All right, Jim, by the way, I'll read this one again and get it to the right building. I don't have a problem with the cross area served by town water, and the reduction in the groundwater offset will prevent fill from being placed within 10 feet of the lot line. So, we have a motion?
Your turn.
My turn?
Alternate.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for the plan dated 8/17/15 for 305 Goldsmith Street, Littleton, Massachusetts, by Civil Solutions Incorporated, including variances with groundwater offset from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of Presby, and with the local upgrade, sieve analysis, percolation test to be used instead of a sieve analysis where a percolation test could not be performed, under Title V. Both are under Title V, they're not local upgrades.
Actually, technically, the second one's a local upgrade approval. I apologize. That we keep on adding more and more notes, and the text gets smaller and smaller. If it's easier to read off that.
Okay, thank you, okay.
Sure.
All right, so, okay, yes, for Littleton Board of Health to allow the reduction in groundwater offset from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of Presby, and then sought under Title V, Section 405(1)I, to allow the use of a sieve analysis where percolation test could not be performed. But both of those are from Title V,
Actually,
Section 405.
One's
it's
local
not
upgrade
a Title V variance, though.
And that's true.
Section 405 is basically almost at the end of the code. It's a
It's just what
section
it,
that allows
it's
for
what it allows us to do.
maximum feasible compliance.
Yeah,
Is-
so it's local. But it allows us to do it
Yes,
from Title V. There you go.
yeah.
Okay.
Good compromise.
Do we have a second?
My second, Mr. Spiker.
Any further discussion?
Oh.
Barring none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you sign this one, Kathy?
What's that? You get the check, we get the permit.
Check. Your checkbook? How
Thank
much
you.
is the check?
Neshoba is 250, Littleton is 25.
So you need 275?
I need two separate checks.
Can I bring it back, can I bring it in the morning? I actually have a meeting at church in 10 minutes.
Right across the hall.
Yeah, okay,
Are you all
I'll
right
be
are you all right
tomorrow.
with that, or I can write a check and you can take it back?
Okay,
I
whatever
don't
works for
care.
you. is
I'm
fine.
not I don't have people moving to your house tomorrow.
I know,
I wish I did.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's, do you have time to get together tomorrow?
Yeah. Call me at 10. I have to be someplace at 11.
I have to be somewhere.
Is there any other business?
Just a
No.
the question we talked last time about tobacco regs.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing. Shelley, did we ever hear back from the folks on the tobacco regulations?
No.
Okay.
But I talked to Jim about it today, and I told him the last thing that you had talked about in that definition, and he said to send it over to him, and he had write down a little bit of wording, and he felt that
I thought we actually have
both
wording.
knew what you wanted, so
Yeah.
he said if you don't hear back from her, just,
So the issue, John, was
Finish it
when we
up.
were defining, because we went into these vaporizing devices,
Yep,
some of which use nicotine-containing materials and tobacco, and some of which use some other unknown chemical.
right.
And the way the model regs that were provided by
variety.
the different agencies do, they all put them under nicotine and tobacco,
Okay.
which we were somewhat uncomfortable with, because some of them are neither nicotine or tobacco. Some are unknown, some don't have that. We still wanted to cover them, but we wanted to cover them under a separate definition because they're separate substances.
Okay.
So that apparently threw them for a little bit of a loop there, so.
Okay.
So we're, I think is the only remaining thing.
I think that was
and
the only thing
I-
left.
I
I think
thought we
everything
had
else-
breached that. I mean, I'd be happy to write that up. I mean, I know how to do it. so
yeah, I'll
Jim's-
send it to you tomorrow with
Okay.
that, the little, I think you had given like a handwritten thing anyway back when
Yeah.
it came up,
Um,
and then I'll just plunk it in and. you
And
can-
is this, and I assume part of these regs, but you guys have already discussed this. Last year, when you started working on it, was age of,
Yeah, we discussed that a little bit, yes.
yeah.
We discussed that a lot. And we were very polarized in our opinions.
Well, I think it was
So-
pretty well on one side of it, but yeah.
Now, wait a minute.
The board as a whole basically looked at it, it's basically, we thought we should stick with 18 for the age. But we did raise there is no age presently, and that's part of the reason, for the vaping devices.
Right,
So
right.
10-year-old can go and buy
Right,
those.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
most of the local retailers wouldn't allow that, but we felt it wise to go on the books
Okay,
with that.
okay.
So-
Yeah.
So that was the main reason
Yeah.
now for me, is getting the vape.
Yeah,
Vaping.
Yeah, and we tweaked some of the other stuff,
Okay.
some of the existing
Yeah.
regs and that sort of thing.
Like the requirements of putting it behind the counter. and-
Right.
Okay.
Making that
I'll send those off to
happen.
you tomorrow, John, so you can
Okay.
read through
Yeah.
it for the
Yeah.
next meeting too, if you have any input, because
Okay.
we've just been kind of,
But we took a vote, and we made some changes, and we agreed on the changes, and I forget the name of the organization, but it's a regional one that's supposed to assist the boards of health, had agreed to, said they
Tobacco
basically
Alliance.
do all the work and
Yeah.
write it up,
Okay.
and,
Yeah.
but I think
Tobacco.
there was some
Joan-
health
yeah, we already
issues.
had the public hearings, the vendors.
Joan
and people
Hamlet
came
with the
in.
Tobacco Alliance, she's in Leominster, so,
Okay.
yeah, but I think that, look at them and give your input.
Yeah, okay, that's my
So-
understanding. I think the FDA is even questioning, the safety, the relative
Oh,
long-term
oh,
safety
yeah.
of these things.
Oh, the vaping.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
It's,
Because it's a very unknown.
you don't know what's in there.
There's a
It
bunch
all-
of
yeah.
chemicals, they're all different.
Yeah.
You know,
They haven't studied it.
and there's
poison
young kids doing
control.
this, so.
I think that's adjourned yet.
Yeah. No,
Not quite yet.
no, not yet, yeah.
So.
And Poison Control's been reporting like 100 times more than normal, the children that have been getting into this stuff left around the house, the Poison Control. So it's just,
So
Yeah.
if we're going to have people inhaling things into the lungs of unknown, they should at least be adults.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
yeah,
yes,
at
yes.
least, yeah.
Uninformed as they are, they should at least be adults. I'm with you. All right.
Any other business?
No,
Carol, will you Did you have any questions?
Totally
or-
adjourned, 'cause-
Okay, sure. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn then?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Less than an hour, I guess. Okay.
One thing we
Yes,
can
I'm
agree
gonna
on.
go home.
What's up, Cheryl?
Don't flip the switch. You always can't wait till